Hello again. All set for the next course? Okay, in this course, I will talk about how to prepare slides presentations and creating handouts for the audience. Let's take a look. In preparing the slides presentation, you can use any kind of presentation tools that is available in the market, namely PowerPoint, Google Slides, Powtoon, VideoScribe, Canva, Trello, and others. Choose the one that you are comfortable with. If you ask me personally, I would choose PowerPoint because not only it is easy, but it's very user-friendly too. Mostly everything that you need to compose is in this particular software. But before we go deep, there is one most important thing that you need to do. That is storyboarding. Have you heard about that? Okay, let's go on. Alright, storyboard. Storyboard is the graphic representation of how your e-learning will unfold shot by shot. It is made up of a number of squares with illustrations or pictures representing each shot, with notes about what is going on in the scene and what's being said in the script during that shot. Think of it as a sort of a comic book version of your script. That is a step you won't want to miss because, number one, this is the best way to share your vision. A visual aid makes it much easier for you to share and explain your idea with others. 2. Makes preparation much easier. When you have a storyboarding, it's like you're setting up a plan for your training, including all the materials needed, the order that they'll be laid out, and how the visuals will interact with the script. 3. It saves time. While it may take you a little while to put your storyboard together, in the long run, it will save you time in revisions later. Not only will it help you explain your vision to your team, but it will also make the creation process go more smoothly. Moving on, here are some tips that can help you as you storyboard your e-learning course. Show, don't tell. Use the storyboard as a litmus test to determine if your story is truly being visualized. Be cinematic. Does your e-learning do things that movies do? Do people, places, things move or stand still? Does the camera move? Keep these factors in mind and bring them all together to create a cinematic learning. Make sure it's logical and coherent. You're creating a story, so the e-learning should look visually consistent from beginning to the end. Pick a theme. If you want to create a visual e-learning type, add relevant information that highlights the subject. Feature it on screen and take them through a journey.
Use some of my favorite tips on how to make unboring, beautiful slides. My first bit of advice is to DIY over using the templates. When you first open PowerPoint, you're going to be shown a whole bunch of templates that you can use. And my advice is to go with the blank one and start creating from scratch on your own. If you are sort of nervous about diving into designing your own slides, you can use a template, but make sure you personalize it as much as possible. All the templates are kind of boring looking, and if you stick with the templates for your whole slideshow, it's going to make your slideshow look a little bit like monotone. My second piece of advice is to keep it short and simple. So try to keep each slide to 1 point per slide and don't talk about too much during each slide. And this not only goes for what you're saying, but what your slides look like too. Try to keep colors to a minimum, fonts to a minimum, and just any sort of visual things to a minimum. Simple is always better, less photos is better. Try to keep 1 point and 1 photo or 1 big image per slide. My next piece of advice is to say no to bullet points. Your slides should complement your message and not be a point form of what you're saying. So you'll see here on this slide, I'm talking about how I don't like bullet points. And instead of listing a bunch of reasons why I don't like bullet points, I've put an interesting visual representation of what I'm saying, so it goes along nicely with my voiceover here. And lastly, you need to make a plan. You should plan out what fonts you're going to use in advance. Try not to use more than 2 or 3 fonts. Plan out your color scheme in advance too. You can use a site like Adobe Color or what's the other one, Color Lovers, and come up with a color palette in one of those sites and stick to the color palette. Usually about 3 to 5 colors is good. I've gone with sort of an overall style of bold images and big simple white text in the middle. And lastly, you want to plan out your actual slides. So just before you dive into PowerPoint, just take a piece of paper and a pen and sketch out your slideshow so that you have a plan.
Next, I want to share with you the guidelines of creating slides. 1. Keep the data on slides simple. If you have a great deal of data, divide it among several slides. The content of a single slide should be easily comprehended in 20 seconds. Remember, 7 lines per slide and 7 words per line. 2. Use large, legible letters. If your data slides are black and white, white on a black background shows up better than black on a white background. You know what I mean? Slides background color. Number 3. If your data slides are in color, use only light colors such as white and yellow on a dark background such as dark blue. Do not use colors such as red or purple. Avoid that. Number 4. Keep slides on radiographs light. Dense or dark slides project poorly in a large room. Enlarging the significant areas and using arrows to point out the specific area or lesion often helps. Number 5. Patient confidentiality must be protected. No names should appear on the slides. Number 6. Avoid commercial reference unless mandatory. A logo or institutional identification should appear only on the first title slides. Last but not least, limit the number of slides to no more than 1 for each minute of your presentation. The slides should not contain your entire presentation. Their purpose is to support your talk and to emphasize the important points. Let's take a look on handouts. Why handouts? What is it for? Why use handouts? Well, handouts allow you to provide more detailed information than you would put on a slide. They give your audience something to take away from your presentation to review later. There are one more way for your listeners to be reminded of you and your key messages. Your handout also can serve as a summary of your key points. In any case, your handout can include more detailed information than you may have had to cover in your presentation, for which, for your own good reasons, you've chosen not to include in your presentation. Okay, when to give out the handouts? Before or after? In some instances, you may choose to distribute your handouts before you present. That is, if you want your audience to be able to take notes on the handouts as you go through the slides. But this will cause your audience to lose their attention during note-taking. My opinion, better off holding the handouts until you're finished presenting, because this will remove the temptation for some people to read the handouts while you're speaking, and also it may cause distraction and thus counterproductive. What to include in your handout? Slides are instant guides. Meanwhile, handouts are added information. Remember, review the bullet points and graphics. Free to expand on it and to allow a more complete explanation. Just don't go overboard. Keep it well organized and to the point. No limitations, as you need to include related information that further supports or explains what is in your presentation. Give your handout a professional look. Pay attention to quality and design. Use simple but readable type and make your handout appealing to the eye. Consider using the Handout Master in PowerPoint to format and control the look of your handouts. With that, thank you all. Enjoy and have a good day.